And it never seemed to me that you had to put that on hold for a career. Um, and I found out later when we did get married and had children.
Patricia Heaton always looked cheerful on Everybody Loves Raymond, but behind the smiles and sitcom laughs, something serious was going on. As millions watched her deliver line after line with perfect comedic timing, few knew she was hiding a secret that would come to define much of her adult life. Even her co-stars, her on-screen family, had no idea. It started small, but like many hidden struggles, it grew. Years later, when the truth finally came out, it surprised everyone, her fans, her colleagues, and even her own family. Patricia was born March 4th, 1958, in Bay Village, Ohio, right outside Cleveland. Her father, Chuck Heaton, was a sports writer for the Plain Dealer and one of the most respected voices in Cleveland sports for decades. Their house was always buzzing with local celebrities, football legends, journalists, broadcasters. From a young age, Patricia was surrounded by fame and storytelling. By 8, she was already mimicking TV anchors in the mirror, practicing how they moved, how they spoke. It wasn't enough for her to watch the news, she wanted to be in it. Her siblings remember how she would turn family dinners into performances, complete with costume changes and impersonations of relatives. She craved applause and she'd do anything for a laugh. At 16, she got her first job in television, working the early morning shift at WWS-TV in Cleveland, prepping the news and handing out scripts. It wasn't glamorous. She made $3.25 an hour, but it taught her something vital. TV didn't have to be perfect. It had to be real. That lesson stuck. At 24, she left Ohio with $800, a Honda Civic, and a dream. She landed in New York, renting a $400 a month studio in Hell's Kitchen. She waited tables, sold makeup at Bloomingdale's, and hustled through acting classes with nothing but ramen and ambition keeping her alive. She trained under William Esper, whose brutal honesty cut deep. He told her she was too nice, too Midwestern. But he also taught her how to mine emotional truth. She cried in class a lot, but she stayed and she grew. At 29, she landed her first Broadway role in a gospel musical called Don't Get God Started. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. Soon after, she helped launch a small acting troupe in New York. They produced plays on shoestring budgets. One of those plays, The Johnstown Vindicator, eventually moved to Los Angeles. It was a gamble, but a casting director saw her there and brought her in for a small role on the show 30-something that changed everything. Over the next few years, Patricia starred in a string of short-lived sitcoms. Room for Two, Someone Like Me, Women of the House, all of which flopped. By 1995, she'd been dubbed a show killer by some in the industry. She was juggling young children and auditioning for roles that never lasted. But then came Everybody Loves Raymond. When she auditioned opposite Ray Romano, she did something unexpected. She kissed him right on the lips. It wasn't in the script, but it worked. Romano later said she had the role the moment the kiss landed. She played Debra Barone for 9 seasons, 210 episodes, and earned 7 consecutive Emmy nominations, winning twice. The show became a cornerstone of late 90s and early 2000s television. She was funny, sharp, grounded, and completely believable as the exhausted, loving wife of Ray Barone. But behind the scenes, Patricia was unraveling. At the height of Raymond's success, she was a new mother, filming for teen-hour days, and quietly depending on alcohol just to make it through. What started as one glass of wine became to cocktails before dinner, to glasses of wine during, a cognac after. This went on for 9 years, every single evening. Nearly 4,000 nights. She had a System Club soda at cast dinners, mini bottles in her purse, 1 sober day scheduled a week, and no one noticed, not even Ray Romano. When she posted in 2021 that she'd been sober for 3 years, people were stunned, but the turning point came at a Thanksgiving dinner in 2018. Surrounded by her adult sons, she drank all-day wine during cooking, through the meal, into the night. At one point, she tried to speak but couldn't form words. One of her sons looked at her and said, "Oh great, Mom, you can't even talk." That moment shattered everything. The curtain dropped, she felt exposed, ashamed, and the next day, she quit, cold turkey, no rehab, no plan. She prayed, asking God to take the desire away completely, and she says he did. Her Catholic faith, something that had grounded her since childhood, became her strength. She didn't see sobriety as punishment, she saw it as surrender. And through prayer and faith, she stayed sober. She also faced another challenge, being one of the few outspoken conservatives in Hollywood. She campaigned for McCain and Romney, wore a pro-life pin at award shows, and was quietly blacklisted. Between 2013 and 2017, she didn't land a single lead role. Her political views made her a target in an overwhelmingly liberal industry. But she held her ground, even as job offers disappeared. Meanwhile, her home life was intense and beautiful. She married British actor David Hunt in 1990 and had 4 sons. Together, they launched For Boys Entertainment, an independent production company that eventually created Carol's second act. During the height of Raymond, she was pregnant twice. CBS didn't want Debra Barone to be visibly pregnant, so they hid her bump behind laundry baskets, chopping boards, and strategic camera angles. She returned to work just 5 days after each C-section. Over the years, she traveled back and forth between homes in California and Cambridge, England, racking up over 200,000 miles a year. She built a career and a family without letting one cancel out the other. And after Raymond, she did it again, starring in The Middle, which ran for 215 episodes. Few actors ever headline one hit sitcom. She did too. In 2012, she got her start on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, standing beside Ray Romano, Brad Garrett, Doris Roberts, and Neil Flynn. She joked, saying she'd had 3 TV husbands, which made her an honorary Mormon, but that humor masked a lifetime of grit. Because what made Patricia Heaton remarkable wasn't just her success. It was what she overcame to get there and what she chose to change when no one was watching. Behind the laughter was pressure, exhaustion, and darkness. But through faith, honesty, and pure resolve, she emerged not just sober but stronger. She wanted to be present for her future grandchildren, sharp, healthy, awake, and she is. Because sometimes the greatest story isn't the one that plays out on screen, it's the one that happens when the cameras stop rolling.